everybody, it's your girl. Welcome to China and hit me, baby, one more time. Y'all, I just watched this Framing Britney Spears documentary by the Times Square magazine, and let me tell you, we got a lot to talk about, baby. Britney Spears was my heart back in the day, and this brought me back. And I know a lot of you are going to be here for Britney, so let's just talk about it. Whoo! It's a lot to unpack in here. For those who do not know, Britney Spears has been on her 12-year conservatorship, which means basically everyone is in control of your money, your finances, your house, your home, your whole life due to mental instability. Her conservator is a couple other people, a lawyer, and her father as well. Everyone has been, learning about the Free Britney movement literally over the past 2 years or so, and we haven't been feeling good about it. This isn't Chris Crocker, 10 years ago, even like, leave Britney alone. This isn't even that vibe. Like, this is much more serious. As I've been watching this documentary, I've been realizing how much of her life has been taken away from her. So I want to unpack this today. We're going to talk about, some of the key themes and things that stuck out to me, as well as just bear with me here and let's just get through it together. I appreciate everyone's patience. I do want to do a deep dive into this because I do actually care about Britney Spears. I have anxiety. I suffer from mental health. So I just want to have a conversation. So Britney lovers only today, okay? All right, so the documentary starts off, you guys, basically with Free Britney. People are outside of the courthouse, outside of wherever they are in LA, having Free Britney signs. A lot of different people there saying how Britney Spears saved their life. And I'm like, we think of Britney Spears as a pop star. I have like an autographed Britney Spears picture from like 2001. Like my grandfather, this is a hot fact. My grandfather was Britney Spears' bodyguard a couple times when she would come to Detroit, Michigan, so some of her concerts. He was on security team. So hi. Anyway, fun fact, I loved her forever. But I never really thought of these things growing up. I'm 25 now, so, since I've been 15, this has kind of been going on, and we haven't really paid attention. But those of us who have grown up loving Britney, we've been, kind of paying attention to this. But anyway, as I was saying, Britney Spears has been my idol for a long time, so we started seeing these people outside, and it made me feel a way. I told you guys I'm going to talk about my feelings. It made me feel like, damn, this is really happening. Like, her life is really taken away. I wasn't really hip to, all of the things that were going on in the Free Britney movement, but Britney Spears literally is an icon, and she's, taken away from us. It just made me start to, reflect. So the first thought that I had was it made Britney Spears' life almost go into, three parts, the beginning, the middle, and, the mid-end. Britney Spears' life is not over. We're not going to speak that into existence. She is going to get out of this. I do see hope. But I see, the beginning of her life is, we all know that Britney Spears grew up in Kentwood, Louisiana. But the cool thing about the documentary was that we got to know her assistant. And this is someone who is going to be brought up a lot throughout this. Her assistant, her nanny, basically the woman who took care of her, her name was Felicia. So she was the lady that kind of have started off talking about Britney, that has been closest to Britney. Again, this is by the New York Times, so they didn't get Britney's sister, Jamie Lynn. They didn't get Jamie, her father. Obviously, they didn't get her mother as well. So, I'm sure they can't even really speak out even if they wanted to. But, this was the closest person to her. So basically they go on to tell us that this woman was her nanny. She went everywhere with Britney. She ended up being on Britney's team full time. She was her caretaker, and she was close to the family. But it's interesting to see someone who was so close to Britney, a part of her life for so long, is no longer a part of her life. And it was sad. I'm just going to jump the gun and go towards the end. They end up showing us that Lynn, who was her assistant for years, her closest confidant for years, is now back in Louisiana, and they had the audacity to hire this poor lady. Not poor lady, but it's messed up. This woman as the team. The venue hired her. The Britney Spears team didn't even hire her when she got her conservatorship, which means that they're just trying to control Britney's mind. They didn't want someone to be close to her. So that's just one of the first things that really stuck out to me. The second thing that obviously stuck out to me as well is we have this old man standing up there asking, 9-10-year-old Britney Spears if she has a boyfriend. She's probably 7 or 8 if she has a boyfriend, and, he can be her boyfriend. So we're going to talk about the topic of the misogyny. Now, this was put on by the New York Times, and according to the director, as I was doing my research this morning, she said that they really wanted to take a deep dive into the coverage that Britney Spears had in the media. And as we go throughout the documentary, we go and see how much the paparazzi really just effed up Britney Spears' life. We really think about how we see those like iconic pictures, and we think about the Kardashians nowadays as like, the paparazzo icons, but Britney Spears really was, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, those were the it girls back in the day, but Britney was literally the pioneer of the paparazzi, but she was always so sweet to them. But anyway, we always saw that her life was just on like a sliding scale of her, her emotions, her mental health. But something else that really stuck out to me as well. So Britney's sexuality, Britney being a sexual being, Britney's Hit Me Baby One More Time. They even brought up the concept that I didn't even realize that, she seemed like she was like us. She was like for girls, older than us, in their teens. Like literally from like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Everybody was loving Britney Spears with the Hit Me Baby One More Time. So we all seen her in like the sexy little schoolgirl outfit, but she still looked like the girl next door and somebody that we could relate to. So they also brought that up as well. And it really made me think like, Britney Spears was really iconic in that way. But again, she was one of the first real like innocent looking pop stars that was still a virgin. Like, we had Madonna and, other pop stars before then, but, nothing was virginal about Madonna. But Britney Spears, believe it or not, when she first came out, had an innocence to her. And then people wanted to bring up the Justin Timberlake situation. Now let's talk about Justin Timberlake. Now, I'm a Justin Timberlake fan. I'm about to say was, because Justin Timberlake over the past couple of years has been cheating on his wife, who I think he shouldn't have married. That's another story for another time. But JT over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years has not been serving me anything but loser and washed up. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he's starting to reap what he sows in his career. Justin Timberlake screwed over a lot of people in his career, what I'm realizing, just for him to get on top. I'm just going to only speak about today, Britney Spears, in that aspect. They only really touched on this, but it's just so much deeper just by the small thing that they touched on. So, Cry Me a River, the Britney Spears breakup, all of these things. So, the Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake was one of the most iconic couples. They compared it to the cheerleader and the football player. So basically, they were all American couple. When they got together, they were in love. And then Justin and Britney break up. So we don't even really know why Justin and Britney breaks up. It was probably a normal breakup. They were like 18 years old. They were young. I don't even know how old they were. Let me know in the comments. But I was just like, dude, that's so interesting that they really laid it out like JT did really throw her under the bus. Even though, cry me a river, cry me, was that song. He still wrote that song about Britney Spears and we just ate it up. But it made Britney Spears look negative. It made Britney Spears look like a hooker. And the misogyny the misogyny of it all, as they may say, is that JT even did a radio interview. And the guys are just like, I just want to know if you had sex with Britney Spears. If you took her virginity. And then he laughs. And then I'm like, is he going to answer this? And he did. And I'm like, you're a scumbag. Justin Timberlake, you're a scumbag. Next case. So after that, Britney Spears did an interview with Diane Sawyer. And she goes on to ask Britney, in the relationship, she's basically, the girl from hell. She's the one that broke his heart and cheated and made her out to be someone she's not, and she starts to break down. But everyone just wanted to point the finger. Blame Britney, blame Britney, blame Britney. So as we see these things go on, like Britney's like, I'm not trying to be an idol to your daughter. I'm just trying to be myself. Like, I'm dealing with the media here. Everyone's on my tail, but she still is resilient. So also, like, a big theme of Britney Spears, literally up until probably like the past 5 years, right when she ended her residency in Vegas, I really feel like Britney was like still resilient. Like, she was still, even in the conservatorship, if she didn't like what you had to say, Britney Spears she was gonna say something back. So now we're gonna talk about Kevin Federline. Since we're talking about dating, everybody knows K-Fed. Now, I haven't heard the term and the word K-Fed, Kevin Federline. After Wendy Williams, I hate everybody named Kevin. Kevin Federline, the opportunist wigger who left his black girlfriend wife for Britney Spears and was an opportunist as well, and no good or better than Justin Timberlake, right? If y'all didn't know this about K-Fed, we can take a deep dive, let me know. But look up K-Fed before. He was married to like an actress or something. He has other mixed children. Trust me, he's down with the swell, y'all. That's beside the topic. This is an urban channel. Anyway, Britney Spears goes ahead and goes with her backup. You know, Britney Spears loved the backup dancers. So does J-Lo. You know, a lot of like women in power love to mess with the backup dancers because they be all up in their face dancing, shaking it up on them, and the ladies don't know what to do. And that's all they be with all day. You know, the celebrity life is isolated as well. Anyway, so he opportunes on. Britney gets with him. They get married. They're on Ellen. We see like the tabloids and like all they're showing us is Britney Spears' life through tabloids for an hour and a half, which is absolutely crazy. Through tabloids, through paparazzo. They end up interviewing, you know, some of her, you know, most renowned paparazzi. I'll get to that later. But it was just interesting to see all of her life through media with Kevin Federline. As we know, her and Kevin Federline break up. Kevin Federline takes custody of the kids. Long story short, Britney, I think, was really suffering through postpartum depression. If you don't know what postpartum depression is, it's a horrible time of depression and anxiety and times that women suffer from. I don't have the dictionary definition, but a lot of women, a huge amount of women suffer from this when after they have a child. So it's very serious and it kills mothers. Like, it's very, very messed up. So, you know, definitely educate yourself on that because that's something that's an even bigger issue. So Britney was suffering from that as well, and she was really alone. Then I'm going to fast forward now just basically to the conservatorship because that's what we're here for, right? So in about 2008, Britney Spears, you know, kind of like begins her conservatorship. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably a year too short. So, you know, at this time, like, Britney didn't have, like, custody of her kids full-time. You know, Britney was kind of, like, having her little, like, manic episode. You know, she was kind of, like, starting to, like, cut up. So this is really what led in, and we're about to take a deep dive into her getting the conservatorship. So we all know the Britney Spears scandal. When Britney Spears, I'm sorry, I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. We all know when Britney Spears had the scandal when she shaved her head bald. So we all know she walked in and she's like, yo, can you shave my head? The stylist refused. I mean, if Britney Spears asked me to shave their head, I would say, yes, what are you doing? They're like, no, Britney, no. So Britney goes ahead and shaves her head herself. The paparazzi catch it, everyone catches it. So that's the first spiral. Then we go ahead and deep dive even longer. K-Fed doesn't let Britney Spears see her kids. We see Britney Spears pulling up with her cousin in a Benz at the gas station. Then one of the most renowned paparazzi, he's on the documentary as well, speaking about Britney. We see a picture of Britney Spears taking an umbrella and just hitting his window, hitting his window, hitting his window, hitting his window. And that was really the last big spiral we've seen from Britney that was before the conservatorship started. So at that point, Britney's father, who we haven't even seen, and even lawyers and people around was like, we haven't seen Britney's dad. Keep in mind, I've talked for about 10 minutes now, and when have we mentioned Britney's dad? I remember one lady said that Britney was like, yeah, Britney's dad was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to get me a boat one day. My baby girl going to be famous. He's just an opportunist. All we seen was Britney's mother and Felicia the assistant, and then other people who were small. Britney had a very tight-knit circle, but it's funny that all the people of the conservatorship now are none of Britney's tight circle that we've seen at all. You know, obviously her mother can't speak out. I want to know what happened to Jamie Lynn. Where is Jamie Lynn? I looked at Jamie Lynn's Instagram. She's over there selling, like, you know, low-priced bikinis and acting like her sister don't exist. Anyway, what do I know? So they break down the conservatorship for us, basically saying that her father has been in control of her for now 12 years. Long story short, it's been an uphill court battle. One of Britney's lawyers, who is still technically her lawyer now, but not really because of the conservatorship, but is still said lawyer currently, he went on to say that he was dropped from the case, that they didn't want Britney to be represented anymore, basically due to her mental health. And he was like, Britney definitely seemed competent to me. He's like, you know, Britney was making these decisions. She clearly stated that she did not want her father in charge of her finances, in charge of her estate, basically in charge of nothing. And somehow, some way, the way the court system works, even in Britney Spears' case, being a white woman, it still did not work in her favor. So with that being said, a lot of people said that, you know, conservatorships are one of the hardest things to get out of. And majority of cases, one of the ladies, the lawyer ladies, even said that people don't get out of it. Like, she's never seen a case all this time she's been practicing. So, you know, Britney goes on and she has a conservatorship. The first couple of years were good. We see her on How I Met Your Mother. She goes back on TV. This is really like the time when, like, Britney Spears was doing like her "You Want a Piece of Me," and then she goes on and does her 2008 circus tour. So during this time, everybody's like, Britney's back. Britney's going on tour. She's doing her thing. So we don't really hear from Britney kind of time in between. And then if you guys can fast forward to another 5 years ago, probably to the last 3 or 4, Britney was doing her residency at the MGM Park, I believe. Yeah. So Britney was doing her residency in Vegas. If you don't know what a residency in Vegas is when like celebrities, singers perform for like 2 years and she was making like $1 million a week. It was like $130,000 a show a night. So basically they do that for a couple of years and leave. Mariah Carey just did one. Cher did one. All the classics do one. So she was doing that. She was looking good. And it was a downward spiral again, and something happened where she was about to, introduce one of the Park MGM's new theater they were opening down in Vegas. And she just shows up. Everyone's waiting, like where she's coming. Mario Lopez is there. The host is there. She just gets up and she just walks past everybody, waves, and goes to her limo. And everybody's like, what the heck is happening to Britney? So during this time, like literally everybody started to, really get into the Free Britney movement. And then I find out, which is something that I didn't know, that what was interesting to me was the Britneygram, the Britney's Instagram. So it was these two women. They were so delightful, lovely women who spoke on the documentaries. These two girls that basically wanted to break down and deep dive into Britney Spears' Instagram, because a lot of people thought it was a lot of cryptic messages in her Instagram and hidden messages, like basically saying, help me. This is kind of how the whole Free Britney started. So then they deep dive into the lady's podcast. They talk about each of her pictures, and then it goes viral basically. And then something I didn't know as well, because I wasn't even hip to this. One of the old paralegals who worked on the Britney Spears conservator case or whatever, whoever he was, he leaked some news to the Britneygram girls who break down Instagram, who do the weekly podcast, who has all these people engaged, because he knew they were the only ones who were really vouching for Britney at this time. The paralegal allegedly brings up and lets them know in like a voice recording that Britney clearly stated she didn't want her father to be, anywhere over her estate, that she could speak for herself, and it was definitely a bunch of effed up bullshit going on. So with that being said, like, we already got the leak. We already knew what was going on. And that's really when Eve started wearing the Free Britney t-shirts. Everyone's like protesting outside. And, Britney did let us know that she saw these messages in a court document that we did see towards the end of the documentary. That Britney is getting these messages, that Britney is going to get through this. And everyone still has this sense of hope and knowing, even though the case has not really made that much leeway this year or kind of towards the end of the year, it did take a pivot and a turn, because Britney did start to show us little ways that she did kind of let us know. She was a high-functioning, like a conservatee or whatever they call it. That's what they call her, high-functioning. And that, like, she can be in charge of her estate. She can still, have lawyers. She can still speak for herself. Sometimes she gets down and out. But look at, she was a product of her environment. Being a product of your environment doesn't mean that you got to be from the hood, that you got to be from the ghetto, that you don't have no life goals because, you grow up messed up. Britney Spears, a white girl from Louisiana, and it was a product of her environment of the media. She was like a pioneer. We seen her out with the girls. Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan. She was iconic. Britney Spears is iconic. God forbid if anything ever happened to Britney Spears, like, I don't know what I would do. I know her whole discography. Go ahead and comment your favorite Britney Spears song if you're still here, because I love Britney. But yeah, that's really how they close out the documentary. It wasn't that long. Again, this was on FX. So they kept it pretty short, but this was the first, framing Britney Spears in the series of the New York Times, and it was just interesting. But Britney hears us, and the media is covering this documentary like wildfire, so I think a lot of things will make leeway. As I've been noticing, and let me know if you agree, the more the media covers something, or the more the media is on your tail, it forces people to do things, good, bad, or indifferent. But in Britney's case, I think it will really be for the positive. So my final thoughts is this makes me so sad. It makes me sad that, Britney had to go through all these terrible things in her life, and, she's still fighting again. She's resilient. But Britney just looks empty inside. When I look at her face, she just looks empty, and it literally makes me want to cry. Because I'm like, she was so bubbly. She was so adamant about the things she wanted. And, people close to her, her horrible and horrific father just shut her down. And, you know, in a male-dominated field, it was not made for women, especially during that time. Comment and let me know your favorite Britney Spears song. Let me know how you feel about this documentary. If you watched it, it is on YouTube, so check it out and help your girl get to 500 subscribers. Let me know if you want to do more deep dives like this, you guys. I appreciate you. Leave a comment, show your girl some love, help my algorithm, and